The most dangerous person in your company isn't the one everybody's afraid of. It's the one everybody likes, the one who remembers your kid's name, who brings the coffee, who somehow has no enemies in a building full of them. You've met this person, you might even be thinking of them right now, and quietly defending them. So here's the question we're going to follow for the next 12 minutes. How does the person everyone likes quietly end up with all the power? In company after company, the same kind of person rises. Not the most brilliant, not the hardest working, the most liked. And it isn't luck, it's a playbook, one most of the people running it couldn't even name. They just run it. We're going to name it. Piece by piece, how they win a room before it meets, how they earn trust and keep it, what they do the moment someone challenges them, and why the system keeps handing them the promotion. Put those pieces together and you can see the whole machine, in them, and sometimes, uncomfortably, in yourself. It starts with the strangest part of all. The reason the most dangerous person in the building is the one nobody's worried about. We picture the office threat as aggressive, loud, the one who takes the credit and raises their voice. That person is real. But they're not who you have to worry about, because everyone can already see them. A visible threat is a managed threat. The one who actually rises works in the opposite direction. Warm, generous, genuinely likable. People describe them with the same 3 words: everyone loves them. And that's not a personality, it's the opening move. Because being liked doesn't just make people trust you, it makes them stop checking. Nobody audits the person they're rooting for, so bring one person to mind. The last one you watched climb past people who are clearly better at the actual job. Hold on to them, because everything from here is a description of what they were doing. The parts you felt, but could never quite prove. It usually starts before the meeting even begins. Have you ever walked into a room where the decision somehow already felt made? Where you still had questions, but the air said the matter was settled? That feeling isn't paranoia. The decision really had already happened, just not in the room. It gets made in the hallway, one quiet conversation at a time. A word before lunch, a message the night before, each one carrying the same gentle line. I think we're all leaning this way, right? By the time everyone sits down, the room agrees, and no one can quite remember agreeing. Then comes the sentence that seals it. I think we're all aligned here. And now you're stuck. Because if you object, you're not raising a concern. You're breaking a consensus. Except the consensus was never real. It was assembled, one private conversation at a time, in rooms you weren't invited to. In most companies, the real meeting is the one that happens before the meeting. There's a name for what makes this work: the Abilene paradox. A whole group will go along with something not one of them actually wants, because each person assumes everybody else is on board. The operator doesn't win the argument. They make sure it never happens. That's the first piece. They shape the outcome before anyone believes the decision has even started. But steering a single room is small compared to what comes next, earning the kind of trust that makes people defend them when they're not there. Trust is the operator's real currency, and they earn it in a way that's almost impossible to catch, unless you know where it leaks. Most of us think we can spot a manipulator. We look for the obvious things: shifty eyes, someone who won't hold your gaze, who seems nervous. But when researchers actually studied deception, one major review pulled together more than 150 supposed signs of lying. Almost none of them held up. Avoiding eye contact told you nothing. If anything, the practiced ones hold more eye contact, not less, precisely because they know that's what you're checking for. We're all trained to spot the wrong villain, so where does it actually show? Not in how they treat you, in how they treat everyone else. The likable operator is warm to the people above them and quietly different with the people below. Gracious to the boss, clipped with the assistant, lit up by anyone who can help them, strangely distracted the moment someone can't. It's an old pattern, and once you've felt it, you'll recognize it. Kiss up, kick down. Real warmth doesn't check your rank first, so if you want to know who someone actually is, stop weighing how they treat you, and look at how they treat the person who can do nothing for them. If someone came to mind earlier, picture them now. Which direction does their warmth flow? Once they've earned trust, they have to hold it, and a lot of that happens without a word. Researchers who study status keep seeing the same small patterns. They're tendencies, not tests. But once you know them, meetings look a little different. The powerful tend to hold your gaze while they talk and let it drift while they listen. There's a pattern in the voice too. The calm drop in pitch, right when someone wants a conversation to be over. And the simplest one of all, who waits for whom? The person who lets the room sit before they arrive usually isn't disorganized. Their time is being quietly priced above everyone else's, and the room is paying it. The interesting part is how often these show up together, in the same person, without any effort at all. Looking calmly in charge is simply how they keep anyone from questioning the trust they've built, and it holds right until someone stops trusting the surface and challenges them directly. That's where the mask does its most revealing work. Sooner or later, someone sees it. Maybe it's you. So you do the reasonable thing, you raise it calmly in private. Before I tell you what happens next, think about the last time you watched someone challenge a person like this. How did it end? Who ended up apologizing? Because it tends to run the same 3 steps almost every time. First, denial. That never happened. I think you've misunderstood. Then a small attack, turned back onto you. Honestly, I've been a little worried about you lately. And then the move that does the real damage. They become the victim, and you become the aggressor. I'm hurt you'd come at me like this, after everything I've done for you. Deny, attack, and reverse the roles. Researchers gave it a name, DARVO, and measured what it does to anyone watching. It makes the real victim look less believable, and the person who caused the harm look wronged. You came in with a fair concern. You leave apologizing. That reversal is the whole point. If you've ever gone in to hold someone accountable and somehow ended up saying sorry, you didn't imagine it. It isn't a sign you were wrong. It's a sign it worked. So now they've survived the one thing that could have exposed them. But surviving isn't the same as being followed. Why do people stay loyal, even the ones who've been burned? You'd assume people follow the operator because they're fooled. Often it's something stranger. They've paid too much to leave. Think about the teams that demand the most just to belong. The brutal onboarding, the long hours worn like a badge, the little loyalty tests. You'd expect all that to push people away. It does the opposite. Psychologists showed this decades ago. The more someone suffers to get into a group, the more valuable they decide that group must be. If it cost you something, the mind refuses to believe it wasn't worth it. So the operator rarely has to hold anyone in place. The cost does it for them. We've come this far, after everything we've built, and people stay, not because it's good, but because leaving would mean admitting the years were wasted. That's the quiet engine under a lot of loyalty. Not love, accounting. So far, this has been the story of a strategy, the moves one kind of person makes to climb. But underneath it is a deeper layer, and it changes who the story is really about. It's tempting to think these people are simply born colder than the rest of us. Some are, but researchers have found something more unsettling. Power itself does this, to almost anyone. In one experiment, they measured something your brain does automatically, called mirroring, the way it quietly simulates what another person is doing and feeling. It's the physical root of empathy. Then they made people feel powerful. And the mirroring faded, not by choice, measurably in the brain. Feeling powerful turned down the very signal that lets us feel other people at all. The researcher who spent his career on this calls it the power paradox. We're handed power for being warm, generous, tuned in to the people around us. And then power slowly wears those exact qualities away. The thing that got you promoted is the first thing the promotion starts taking, which turns the whole story back on you for a moment. The operator isn't always a villain who planned this. Sometimes they're just further down a road that power pulls everyone down. So the real question was, never only how do I spot them? It's whether you'd notice it starting in yourself. Which leaves the last piece, the one that finally answers the question we started with. Think of the last promotion that genuinely surprised you. The one that made you wonder what you were missing. Keep it in mind. If power quietly damages people, and the warmest ones are so often the most calculated, why does the system keep choosing them? Because of an old flaw in how we judge each other. When someone has one clear strength, they're charming, confident, easy to like, we quietly assume the rest comes bundled with it. That they're capable, trustworthy, ready for more. Psychologists have called it the halo effect for 100 years, and it runs the promotion meeting whether anyone admits it or not. Picture that meeting, 2 people. One did the work, quietly, well, without managing anyone's feelings about it. The other managed everyone's feelings, arranged the room in advance, and radiates that easy confidence. Whose name comes up first? Whose presence gets mentioned? There it is. We don't promote the most capable person, we promote the most convincing one. The person everyone likes doesn't rise in spite of all this. They rise because the system is built to reward exactly the surface they've mastered and to look away while they climb. So picture that person one last time, the one you thought of at the very beginning. You can see the shape of it now. The room's decided before you arrive. The warmth that flows up and cools on the way down. The concern that somehow became your apology. The loyalty that's really just a bill nobody wants to admit they paid. And a system that keeps mistaking confidence for competence and hands them the keys. None of it is proof on its own, but together, in one person, it stops being a coincidence. Here's the part that matters most, though. The point of understanding any of this was never to make you cynical or to turn you into one of them. It's the opposite. The people who can see these moves are the hardest ones to run them on. You can be warm without it being a weapon. You can hold power without letting it close you off. But only if you can feel it happening. Because the most dangerous version of this was never the likable operator across the table. It isn't the day you meet someone like this. It's the day, years from now, when you finally have a little power of your own and realize you've become them. If this gave you a way of seeing that you didn't have an hour ago, subscribe. There are more of these coming.